Thank you for joining this lesson. We're going to deal with scale drawing, a question on bearings. So we are told that three warships, P, Q, and R, are at the sea such that Q is 400 kilometers on a bearing of 30 degrees from P. Ship R is 750 kilometers from Q and on a bearing of 120 from Q. An enemy warship S is sighted 1,000 kilometers due south of Q. So we are told to take a scale of 1 centimeter for 100 kilometers to locate the relative positions of the ships P, Q, R, and S. Remember to subscribe to this channel and to also share the link with your friends. I want us to interpret this question by first of all coming up with a sketch for these relative positions. Remember, we are told that such that Q is 400 on a bearing of 30 from P, which means in our location we will start with P because we are told from P. Therefore, assuming that P is somewhere here, assuming this is P, we can raise a compass at P such that now following 30 degrees, assuming this is 30 degrees bearing and a distance of 400 kilometers, this will take us to Q. So that is going to be our Q. So Q is 30 degrees 400 kilometers from P. So we have P here and Q here. Again, we are told that we have another ship, which is R, 750 kilometers from Q and 120 degrees again from Q. So from Q, we measure 120 degrees and we measure 750 kilometers. So 750 kilometers and 120 degrees. So this means the mark of 750 along that line will give us where R is. So this is going to give us R. Then again, we are told that there is another enemy warship S, which is 1,000 due south of Q. So at Q, we just move southwards. For 1,000 kilometers. And when we get that mark for 1,000 kilometers, this will be our S. So these are going to be the relative positions, and we can now draw them using the scale. So we're going to lay now a scale diagram. The examiner has already provided the scale we're going to use. We are told using a scale 1 centimeter for 100 kilometers, we locate these relative positions. Therefore, we can begin with, we have P. Remember, we started with locating P. Therefore, if we say that P is this position, it's going to be our P. If this is P, then we are measuring 30 degrees, so that we may know where Q is. So standing here, we measure 30 degrees. So this is where 30 degrees is. Remember, the angle has to be measured strictly from the north. Therefore, we measure 30 degrees is along that line. Now we are 400 and we are using a scale of 1 centimeter for 100 kilometers, which means instead of 400 kilometers, we measure 4 centimeters. So a distance of 4 centimeters. So from this point, we mark 4 centimeters. Remember, we are supposed to raise another compass. So because we measured 30 degrees here, for us to get another compass, which is another compass which is parallel to this one, then we should measure another 30 degrees on the other side of this line. So standing here at this mark, I'm going to measure 30 degrees. I'm going to measure 30 degrees. So this is the measure of 30 degrees. So now, using this measure of 30 degrees, it means that the two compasses are going to be exactly parallel to one another. Therefore, we're going to have 30 degrees here. And this one will be our Q. So that is where Q is. That is where Q is. Okay. Now after getting Q and P, we again measure a bearing of 120. A bearing of 120 from Q now. So from Q, a bearing of 120. Let me cite it. Bearing of 120. Remember, all bearings are from the north. So this is 120 degrees. 120 degrees. Then I prolong the line. Then I prolong the line. That is a bearing of 120. 120. Which means now, if we follow that line and a distance of, instead of 750, the scale will tell us to use 7.5 centimeters. So measuring 7.5. 7.5 centimeters. So I'm going to stand here and measure 7.5 centimeters. So this is 7.5 centimeters. Remember, this was 4 centimeters. Okay, now with 7.5 centimeters, and I'm leaving an angle of 60 at this point. So I will measure another 60 on the upper side so that I may raise a compass which is very parallel to others. So I transmit, or I transfer this acute angle of 60 to this side. So standing at this mark, I will measure an angle. I will measure an angle of 60. This is the angle of 60. And now, using that measure of 60 degrees, I should raise a compass a very perfect north at this point, such that now we have 60 degrees here, since we have left 60 degrees at this point. So you realize my norths are very perfectly parallel to one another. Again, I'm going to locate S, which is another warship, which is 100 southwards from Q. So from Q, instead of 1,000, I'm going to use 10 centimeters. So I will just prolong the compass which is at Q. Just prolong it. The compass at Q. I will just prolong it just like that. Then now, using my compass, I will measure 10 centimeters instead of 1,000 kilometers. 10 centimeters, and I stand here and make the mark. That is 10 centimeters. So this is going to be our position S. Now I can connect P to S. P to S. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel so you wind up the lesson. You can also invite other friends to continue learning bearings and scale drawing from this channel. So I have connected the 4 positions. PQ, this one should be R, then S. So these are the relative positions. These are the relative positions of the several ships in the sea. So we are given several other questions like find the compass bearing of P from S. So the bearing of P from S. So when we are at S, through what angle do we turn so that we may know where P is? So P from S, I will measure this acute angle. I'll measure this acute angle from north. Remember, we use the main points of a compass, which are north and south. So standing at S, I can see that I have an angle of, we are before 20, but past 15, 16, 17. So an angle of 17, but we are turning from north. So we are moving from north through an angle of 17 towards west. Therefore, it will be from north, an angle of 17 towards west. This is the bearing of P from S. The bearing of P from S. We have another question again on compass bearing of S from R. So when we are at R, through what angle do we turn so that we may see S? The bearing of S from R. So from R, I will consider south so that I measure the angle here. And this angle is going to be, this is 45, exactly 45 degrees. Yeah. But it is from south towards west. From south, 45 degrees towards west. This is the bearing of S from R. Compass bearing, specifically compass bearing. In case it was true bearing, then we could have measured the angle strictly from the north alone. So that is how we do questions on scale drawing. Thank you for following. Subscribe and share.